May 15th, 2023.
You are listening to Weather with Enthusiasm.
Earlier this month, on May 1st, a dust storm moved through southern Illinois, maybe even central Illinois, Montgomery County, Illinois, right over Interstate 55. Dust storms often are a mile or more high and could be several hundred miles long. These storms could be accompanied by 60-mile-per-hour winds and visibilities which are barely a few feet. The technical term for dust storms are haboobs, Haboobs, and they're most common in the desert southwest, but occasionally do occur on the plains and even in the Midwest Corn Belt. Throughout the world, they're found in northern Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, Central Asia, and China. They've even occurred in Australia and South America. This information comes from the Washington Post. The way a dust storm forms, strong winds blow dust into the air. Usually, these strong winds are the result of a thunderstorm outflow. A dust storm is associated with drops in temperatures. Sometimes these dust storms occur outside of thunderstorms. Usually, the term sandstorm is used for these more widespread events. Sandstorms over Africa can occasionally suspend enough Saharan dust that some blows all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. That's what we had, which happened back in the June of 2021. Dust storms are extremely dangerous. It makes it very difficult to breathe for those that are outside, but the greatest threat occurs on the roads. Erratic winds and abrupt drops in visibility can happen in seconds. The National Weather Service recommends drivers to pull to the side and stay alive if they're passing through an affected area when a dust storm hits. Dust storms are most common in sandy or dusty areas, especially when those areas receive thunderstorms as well. In the desert southwest, places like Phoenix and Tucson, they could see a few blowing dust events every year, but a dust storm wouldn't occur every year, perhaps once a year or two. They're most likely to occur in July and August. During drought conditions, they could appear on the plains. The main season for dust storms in the plains is March to April and late October to November. Sometimes a derecho, which is an extremely windy thunderstorm complex that tracks long distances, can induce their own dust storms. And that's what happened May 12, 2022 in Iowa, Minnesota, and the Dakotas. The worst dust storm in history occurred in the 1930s, where there was a drought, over-farming, and poor agricultural practices across the High Plains combined to brew the infamous Dust Bowl between 1935 and 1938. I think the Dust Bowl years go back even before 1935. But between 1935 and 1938, 100 million square miles of the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, northeast New Mexico, and eastern Colorado, and central and western Kansas were affected. During one of the Dust Bowl-induced dust storms in 1935, dust blew all the way to Chicago, and red-tinged snow fell on New England that winter. You've been listening to the podcast, Weather with Enthusiasm. The following is a 1-minute trailer.
We have two things going on. We have evaporative cooling and we also have dynamic cooling, and the two are coming together to produce a major snowstorm in the deep south. The only time you could blame cold air on climate change is when it's a result of the stratosphere warming, which is what causes all the Arctic air to come down south. The way to get a 6-inch snowstorm here in the Midwest and in the southern plains has always been you need 3 ingredients. It's hard to believe the numbers that are being forecasted.
Several additional feet of snow is expected by Monday morning.
Yes! Hey, we have a special guest on our show. What is your name?
Kitabis.
27.1 barometric pressure. Feet of snow are falling in Japan.
Oh my God.
That's a time of celebration. Just Google Weather with Enthusiasm and they're all going to come up.